The Alliance of American Football kicked off its inaugural season this weekend, and it was fantastic. Look, I loved it. I think it's well worth watching. And apparently a lot of other people did too. Here are the stats from opening night on CBS. The initial game brought in 2.9 million viewers. That's a big, big deal because it beat out the basketball game on CBS. The NBA game between the Oklahoma City Thunder and Houston Rockets on ABC only brought in 2.5 million viewers. That's a big deal. What that shows is that people have a desire to watch the AAF. I don't know if that will continue. I'm sure a lot of people tuned in. They made the decision, do I want to keep watching this or not? Who knows if next week we'll have as many viewers with the AAF. Honestly, I hope it keeps growing. But I really, really strongly believe in the Alliance of American Football. I think they have a great plan. I think they have good people backing it. And I love their self-awareness. They made it abundantly clear the AAF is a developmental league. This is like minor league football. They're not trying to take on the NFL. They're trying to do a smaller league, helping players get ready and move up to a bigger stage like the NFL. And that couldn't, by the way, a lot of people, when I said that initially about the AAF, a lot of people gave me pushback. So this is a competitor to the NFL. No, it's not. It's not at all. And it could not have been made more clear by the Arizona Hotshots head coach, Rick Neuheisel. In his pregame speech to his team, this is what Rick Neuheisel said. He said, I don't care about the scoreboard. I care more about what you put on tape. That is your business card. The score will take care of itself. What he's telling us is saying, you're trying to earn a name for yourself and move up to the next level. That is what the AAF is all about. That is fantastic. This is minor league football, and it's good for everybody. I think it's interesting. I think fans who like football and fans who love football are going to enjoy it, people like me. I think players get a chance to make money. You don't realize how many people get out of college football and have no plan, have no way to make money, and just need to figure something out. This will give more of those players who, I know a lot of guys like that who graduated, played for years in college football, gave a lot to a program, and said, now what? Don't have a plan. The AAF gives those people a chance to not only buy time to figure it out, but to play football professionally, because that's what they've done their entire lives with most of these guys' case. It's also really good for the NFL. It develops players. We're going to see offensive lines massively improve because of the Alliance of American Football. What happened a couple of years ago is the NCAA cut practice time. And the result on the NFL and the result on football in general was that offensive linemen didn't have enough time to practice and get reps. And we saw offensive line play in the NFL very quickly decline because of that rule. This now solves that problem. It gives players more reps to get ready before they start in the NFL. What we also saw was offensive line play and quarterback play ranged from really, really bad to really, really good. If you're a football fan like me, look, I love football. It's my favorite thing in the world. The AAF is really fun to watch because you see a lot of mistakes. You see a lot of people make really, really bad plays, bad decisions, bad mistakes. And if you like learning about football, the AAF is far more interesting to watch to me than the NFL because there's more mistakes more frequently. It's kind of like watching a preseason football game. You'll see a lot of small things, missed assignments. Here's a great example. Mike Martz is the head coach for the San Diego Fleet. He's a legendary offensive-minded head coach. Their offense really struggled and looked really bad, but the reason was because a lot of people were out of position. Over time, we're going to see guys not only get in the right spot, but learn what they're doing. There's a reason why all the people in the AAF are not in the NFL. They had trouble in training camp last year lining up, getting in the right spot, running the right routes. That, I think, is going to show later in the season. Week 1 to 10, I think the San Diego Fleet are going to make the greatest improvement over the course of the season. Another thing we saw I really, really liked was really, really cool audio clips. All the quarterbacks and all the coaches are mic'd up, which means you get an insane level of access into their huddles, into their conversations on the sideline. And what I want to do is I want to point to 2 instances in particular where I saw something that I thought was really, really cool. The first one was between the San Diego Fleet and the San Antonio Commanders. There was a meeting on the sideline before a third down for the Commanders, and Logan Woodside, the quarterback for the Commanders, went over to head coach Mike Riley. They had a conversation about it, and it was very clear the players had a play they believed in. They said, we want to run this play. We think it can work. Here's why. And they pitched it to him, and they convinced Mike Riley to let them run it. Now, sadly, the play didn't work, right? Logan Woodside missed the throw, but the guy was open. And it was just really cool to see the way players and coaches interact on the sideline and how that whole dynamic works. The other thing I saw that I really, really liked as a result of being mic'd up all weekend was the post-game meeting between the two coaches, Mike Martz and Mike Riley, the San Diego Fleet head coach and the San Antonio Commanders head coach. They, the Commanders beat the Fleet, and they met at midfield and shook hands and had a conversation. I've always wondered what that was like. It was actually really jovial. Two guys who clearly like each other and had an interesting relationship. They were very friendly between each other. I loved getting to see that and getting to hear the audio and the sound clips between each other. I've always wondered what that looks like. And what I'm really curious about is, do later down the road, do we see a coach who's really mad and pissed off? Do we get to see a coach who's mad, shake hands with another coach who's mad at, and hear that soundbite? That would be entertainment gold. That is what I want to see. And that's what the AAF did all weekend, was provide just fantastic, fantastic entertainment all around. There are two other cool features about the AAF I want to talk about before we get into who won and who lost and why and what happened. Two cool features about the Alliance of American Football. One is the bonus structure. What it does, every player makes the same base salary. Your first year in the AAF, you make $70,000. Your second year, you make $80,000. And your third year in the AAF, you make about $100,000. However, you don't just get the base salary. Players get a lot of bonuses for doing cool stuff, for winning games, for engaging on social media. That's really cool because it builds the fan base. Like in San Antonio, where they haven't had a football team for years, engaging with the fans on social media in San Antonio, and building that fan base and building excitement, that's really cool. And the fact they incentivize that is fantastic. They also incentivize players getting interceptions or turnovers. Not like the NFL does, but if I get an interception, everybody on the defense gets a bonus because of that interception. Everyone gets an incentive for that interception. So everyone has incentive to work hard and put forth their best effort. I also like the way that players are given bonuses for sales of their jerseys and things that use their likeness. It's probably a nice jump from college football, where teams make a ton of money off of your likeness and you don't get any money from it, to now finally getting a bonus and getting paid a little bit for the money you're bringing in for your franchise. Here's the last thing I think is really, really cool about the AAF before we leave the logistics behind and get on to other stuff. The medical staff at every single game is employed by the league. This is a difference between the NFL that I really, really like. I don't know that this happens in the NFL. I'm sure it does. I just can't prove it. I don't want to talk about that too much. But we don't know if a team is hired by a franchise, their best interest is to keep players on the field to help the franchise. Their employer is the team, not the league. When a medical staff's employment and where their paychecks comes from the league itself, their best interest is keeping players healthy and keeping players safe. I don't know. I'm not accusing anybody in the NFL of any kind of, withholding information or trying to do whatever to get players back on the field. I'm sure it does happen. I don't know. But now we know there's a complete non-bias between the teams getting medical staff help getting players help from the medical staff. That's a really interesting difference that I like, is we know the medical staff's only interest is safety first, keeping players healthy rather than helping teams win games. It's a notable difference. I'm sure that the former NFL players involved with the AAF or the people that said, we want that, it's very important. I really like that notable difference. And in general, I really like the Alliance of American Football. I think it's fantastic. A great product that I really, really believe in. I hate doing this. It makes me feel uncomfortable. I really don't like self-promotion. It makes me feel like a used car salesman. But I got to do it. So if you don't know, this is my podcast, Strong Opinion Sports. It's my favorite thing in the world. And you can subscribe on iTunes, SoundCloud. You can find it on YouTube. You can find the full entire hour-long podcast on YouTube. You can also find shorter breakout clips like the one you just watched. Please do me a favor. If you like anything I had to say, maybe you hate me and you're mad about something, share this podcast with your friends. Share it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever you want to do. Help me grow by telling your friends about this show.